Welcome to Connected Through Christ, a podcast where faith meets real life. Your host, Jeremy Johnson.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Connecting Through Christ. We have another return, great guest in the house, Miss Abigail Broussard. Abigail, thanks for coming on the show again.
Yeah, of course.
So if you want to know about Abigail's history, childhood, how she kind of grew up, things she's been through, you can refer back to her first podcast where she goes into her history. Today, we're going to start off with, she had an invitation to go to what's called Compassion Corps, okay? So we're going to start off right there where she got invited or a door open to go to Compassion Corps, and we're going to kind of move into her life from that period forward. So why don't you start off, Abigail, and tell the audience a little bit about Compassion Corps and who are they?
Yeah. Compassion Corps International is a ministry that is ran by Pastor Anthony Freeman. And so he is the U.S. Assemblies of God missions liaison. So he's kind of the middleman between the Assembly of God National Office and missionaries around the country. And so his goal is he was asked by the national office if he would go to each of these missionaries and see how he can serve them. And so that's what Compassion Corps is. And so God spoke to him that he wanted him to bring young people with him and train them for the ministry. So people that feel called to ministry would come with him on the road as he's traveling to places like Alaska or Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, wherever it is. And just learn about ministry and what it is to be called by God to either go into the mission field or plant a church or just run a sex trafficking ministry. And there's so many different aspects to ministry. And so that's what we do. So every month out of the year, so it's a 10-month program. And so you move to New Orleans for the 10 months. And it's like probably 2 weeks out of the month, you're traveling the U.S. And so the other 2 weeks, you're home in New Orleans doing outreach work and helping run the church there. And then other than that, you're in a different place every month around the country, serving a missionary, serving a pastor, serving a church, doing outreach work. And so it's a really awesome ministry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight there. Home base is in New Orleans?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What a place, huh?
Oh my gosh.
We won't go into there.
It's quite a place.
It is. And New Orleans is really a beautiful area.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thinks Mardi Gras and a lot of things that go on over there, but it's pretty much next door to where we live and we grew up, and going into New Orleans our whole lives. It really is. It's known for some crazy things, but it really is a beautiful town.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful city.
It's awesome.
It is.
But there's a lot that comes with it. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about I guess when you got the open door to go to Compassion, what was that like? Were you nervous? Were you expecting it? What was that like?
Yeah, I was very nervous. The thought of leaving everything to follow God and to follow the call of ministry was so scary. The thought of leaving my job and my family and money and the comforts of being home and having a steady job and being able to be with your family every day, that was scary. And
There's a lot to it.
it's a lot. It's a lot of sacrifice. And so the way that it came about was, so in 2023, we had a week of fasting and prayer at our church. And during that week, I was just praying, like, Lord, where do you want me? Like, what have you called me to do on this earth? Because I knew that God had called me to do something. I just didn't know what. And I knew that I always had a pull to other cultures and people, and I wanted to help people. But there was also an aspect of me that was I loved animals so much. I was like, God has to have called me to be a veterinarian or a vet tech or something like that. And so it was just trying to figure that out because I knew that God had called me to help people. And so that week during fasting and prayer, he spoke to me so clearly that I was called to the mission field. And he gave me 3 words, and they were missions, evangelism, and mental health. And so from there, I was like, Lord, what in the world does that even mean? Where do I go from this? And so from there, I just kept submitting it to him. And I'm like, Lord, just lead me, wherever you want me, whether it's in Bible college or on the mission field somewhere. or even just staying in my workplace and being a missionary there. I'm like, I'm okay with anything, just lead my steps. And so he led me, and he started to pull my heartstrings toward Bible college. And I felt like he was just speaking to me, like, which obviously you want to know the Bible. You want to know what you're talking about if you're going to go out and evangelize to people. If you're going to go out and try and preach the gospel to people that are going to come at you with these hard arguments, you want to know why you believe what you believe. And so,
And be prepared. Yeah.
yeah, be prepared. And so God led me to Bible college. And so I started doing an online Bible college called Bridges Christian College. And it's run by the same family that also runs Compassion Corps. And so Pastor Anthony Freeman's son runs the Bible college. And so I started going to the Bible college, and then eventually Pastor Anthony found out about like, I guess someone told him my name or something, that I felt called to missions. And so he reached out to me in December of 2023, and it was on Facebook. And he was like, "Hey, I have this internship. You're going to travel the country and be able to be a missionary." And yeah, I was like, this is too good to be true. And so we had a phone call, and I just remember crying and weeping because I knew that God was calling me
Yes.
to go do this, but I was like, I can't leave everything. I can't do it. And so I told him no, but I knew that God was telling me to go.
Yeah.
And so I told him no, and I didn't go. And then the following year, I went to a mission trip to the Dominican Republic, and that changed my heart. I was like, wow,
This is it.
this is it. This is what I'm called to do. And so after I got back from that missions trip, we had a missions banquet at our church. And whenever I walked in the door, I saw Pastor Anthony Freeman. And prior to this, I was praying, Lord, send me a sign or send me a confirmation that you want me to go to CCI, which is Compassion Corps.
Right.
And it was just so funny. I walked in the door and I saw Pastor Anthony, and I was like, oh no.
There's a sign, right?
I was like, oh no. So I avoided him like the plague that night. And then later on that night, he came up to me, and he didn't remember who I was. And so he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I don't know who you are." He didn't remember my face or that he reached out to me to offer an internship
Yeah.
because it was on Facebook. And so he didn't remember who I was. And so he came up to me and he's like, "I really feel like the Lord's telling me to come offer this internship to you with Compassion Corps." And I was like, what the heck? I was like, wow, Pastor Anthony. I was like, I feel like this is the Lord. I feel like this is my confirmation that I've been praying for.
Yeah.
And so from there, I mean, I cried that night again, like I did the first time that he approached me. And I just knew that God was calling me. And so it was scary and it was confusing because you're like, how are you going to pull this off, Lord? Like, no job, no family. I have to leave everything and go. But I mean, he's been faithful. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
yeah,
Shout out to Bridges, by the way. So
yeah.
we've both attended Bridges together,
Mhm.
and we've actually been able to have some of the same classes together. And I wish I had her brains, but anyway.
No, I wish I had his brains.
We work a little different, right?
Yeah.
We work a little bit different, but no,
Yeah.
Bridges is really, and it is an awesome Bible
Yeah.
college for those of you who are interested in seminary. It really is a great school. It is challenging, but it's definitely worth it. You'll definitely learn a lot
Yeah.
over there. So awesome. So, you got the invitation, the door
Yeah.
opens. Did you have a certain perception at that time about what maybe you thought it was going to be like?
Yeah.
And then when you got to the reality, was it different for you?
Yeah, I had never been in ministry before, and so no one in my family really had either, other than you, but I hadn't really discussed what that looked like. And so I had never been told what ministry looked like or what came with it. And so I had a completely different perception that it was, I mean, you put pastors and missionaries on this pedestal,
Right.
and you think they're perfect. You think they live this perfect life. And it's like, no, they don't. They're human. And like, it's hard. It's not easy. And I think the main thing that was kind of a shocker for me was learning how to serve people, which sounds so simple, but that's the heart of, what God called us to do. He called us to serve people. And even he was on this earth, he came to
Absolutely.
serve. And so learning how to serve was one of the biggest kind of shockers to me because I didn't know that I didn't know how to serve. And so I think that was the biggest thing. And so from going, I mean, I went to the Dominican Republic and it was amazing. I knew that God was calling me to missions and like calling me to help people, but I didn't know how, what's the word? I got it.
Oh,
Rowdy. He wants to join it.
cast. Anyway,
I guess I didn't know how much I didn't know what serving meant. I didn't know what the cost of serving people would be and how hard it would be sometimes. And it's like you constantly have to die to your flesh to just do these things just because you love Jesus and it's just an overflow of your heart. So I think that was the biggest shock for me was learning how to serve people. Yeah.
so how long have you been with Compassion Corps now at this point? How long has it been?
I joined August of 2024.
Mhm.
And so it's been over a year.
Over
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
So throughout that year, what has from a positive standpoint, what has stuck out to you the most? Like what was some of your high points
Yeah.
traveling and just the things that you've seen,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
experiences that you've had? What were some of the best ones that you've had?
Yeah. I mean, America's beautiful. It really is.
No way.
Yeah, America's really beautiful. There's such a vast like landscape in America. You can go from Louisiana to a few hours down the road, you're in the desert, and then you're in a city, and then you're in, let's say, Alaska, which is a whole different ball game. And so I think, man, the beauty of America was the coolest thing. And then seeing all of these different people around the country with a mission-minded heart. They were so like there's just the same burden in every place. People need Jesus. And so just seeing everywhere we go, there are people that are helping people. There are people that are planting churches and loving people and reaching the lost and the addicted and the homeless and the broken. And I think that's the coolest thing to see is just people that have given their life to Jesus, given their life to the call of God, no matter what it takes, and hearing their stories of how God has come through for them and the miracles that they've seen. And just seeing people live by faith is one of the most beautiful things ever.
That's awesome. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize we think about missions and we always think, overseas, right? And stuff like that. But, and
Yeah.
it is true, but we have missions literally in our backyard. We have missions out of state. Everyone needs Jesus.
Yeah.
Everyone needs God, and especially in this day and age in our country with everything that's going on, it's, and people are hoping for revival and praying for revival, but it has to start somewhere, and it starts with Jesus. And it's our job to go out and to spread the good news, and we can do it in our backyard. We can do it in the state next door. We can do it in another country, but it's everywhere, and that's the beauty of spreading the gospel, though.
Yeah, and it blows my mind that there are still so many people that have never heard the gospel. Even just in America, you think that people know Jesus because we live in America. But man, we went up to where was it? I can't even think. New Jersey. We were in New Jersey. And we went on a college campus and there were so many people that have never heard the name of Jesus before. And that blew my mind. I was like, what in the world? But it was also really crazy because even the pastors had told us they were starting out Chi Alpha on that campus. And so they were reaching people. And the pastor had told us whenever they would go out and talk about Jesus, people would just gather and they would want to hear, but they didn't know Jesus, but they just knew that they wanted to hear more. And it was just so funny. Whenever we went out, we were in a little group and we were just figuring out what our next steps are. And there were a few people that would just approach us and be like, "Oh, I saw Jesus on your shirt." And they would just stick around. And I'm like, it's just so cool, like seeing the hunger, people gathering and wanting to hear about Jesus, even though they don't know what they're searching for.
That's so awesome. That really is when you think about it.
It's awesome.
Something so simple, but it really is awesome. I guess sometimes we do take it for granted, especially here in South Louisiana. Even though we're dominated by mostly Catholicism here, you're still talking about Jesus, right? Even in the Catholic Church, and you Pentecostals here, Baptists, and so on and so forth, non-denomination, we're used to hearing Jesus. But even in our small town here, how many people may know about him, but really don't have a relationship with him? It's a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that still don't even know, unfortunately, about him. And especially in today's, generation, yet we have all the knowledge at our fingertips, but that's not what the focus is for sure. So, especially, when, not to bring too much of it up, but I remember when Charlie Kirk incident had happened, it seemed like around that time there was a shift. Something happened. We had so many people contacting us for the first time that felt something they hadn't felt before
Yeah.
and just couldn't put their finger on it, but were like, hey, I want to go to church, or tell me a little bit about the Bible, or I have a question about this, that. It was so much. I mean, to the point where people that we would have never expected, people that we, talked to for years about God and didn't, just weren't ready, didn't want, all of a sudden we're like, on the phone, hey, let's go to church, let's do this. It was really a shift. And they are. And people talk about revival in this day, and I really do. I pray that we would end up in revival now, and I hope that it doesn't take something catastrophic
Yeah.
where people literally have nothing left, no choice but to look up. I hope it doesn't take that before we get there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah. So what was I know you said traveling. You saw a lot of the country. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Did any experiences stick out to you?
Hmm. Like beauty wise, or
Yeah, just like maybe talking to people, interesting stories, um, or just conversations you had, or just an experience of being somewhere that you didn't thought you would be. Cool.
I mean, Alaska was a place that I never thought I'd go, so that was beautiful. Seeing that, and also in the village we were in a village called Fort Yukon, and there's maybe 400 people there. You have to get there by bush plane, or you can get there by boat, but it has to be during the summer because the whole
Nice.
river's frozen over, and so you can't get there during the winter unless you fly in. And so seeing the pastor there live by faith even amongst so much tragedy and wearing so many hats, like he has to bury all the dead, like if anyone dies there he has to do everything. If people are having trouble, if someone wants to commit suicide, he has to go in, which is such a prominent thing there, is like suicide and depression and alcoholism. People are so lost and broken there, and it's so sad. It's because they're so isolated, and there's just, because it's so small and isolated, there's also so much trauma in the families, and like kids being treated bad or getting abused by their parents or sexually assaulted. And so seeing him and his wife, they're the only pastors there, the only church in that little village, just love this community and like just take them in and be a pastor to them, be Jesus to them. It's so beautiful.
And
Yeah.
that brings up a good point too, faith. We tend to think that we have faith here in this country,
Yeah.
but we have freedom. We have freedom of religion. We have the freedom, the right to bear arms. We have the freedom of speech, all these freedoms. And when it comes to that, even with freedom of religion and being able to speak freely about God and want to tell others, yes, we come up against people who oppose it or don't believe it or get angry about it, but we have that ability freely to speak about Jesus, and people still don't take advantage of it. And when it comes to the faith side of things, as much as I'd love to believe my faith is so much better than what it used to be, I know stories of missionaries that have went out to people who literally have so much faith that they're praying for their next meal. And I can't, as much as I really want to believe I have that same faith, I don't. Those people really are believing in God for their next meal, for them to survive the year. We have faith, but we put our faith in bank accounts, saving accounts, insurance. We have all these things to fall back on, but we say we're giving it all to God, right? And so as much as I want to believe that we have the same faith, I don't know that we do, because we have so much, we have it easy here. We have it easy here. Even poor people have it so much easier than people in a third world country, you know?
Yeah. That reminds me, I've been reading a book. It's called Fox's Book of Martyrs, and it goes through the history of Christianity and it just goes through every single person that's like given their life. They didn't care what persecution came with the gospel and with just wanting to follow Jesus and spread the gospel. They didn't care that they were going to be persecuted. And it's just, I feel like it's completely shifted my mindset just reading that and seeing it's like, man, none of this matters. The whole goal is to spread Jesus and to make him known on this earth and to make what he did known on this earth. And so none of this matters. No money matters.
Yes.
Like nothing, none of this material stuff matters. It's like that's all that matters is Jesus. And so that's a really good read.
That puts it in perspective.
Yes, it puts it in perspective. Yeah.
One book that hit me hard like that too was when we read Azusa Street.
Yeah, that one's good.
That book, for me, the way it made a church service back then look like compared to today, and just the faith that they had, the amount of time they spent at the altar, the amount of time they spent in prayer, and just to see the fruits of what came of that is exciting. And it really changed a lot for me reading that. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it starts with prayer. It's awesome.
Yeah. So did you have any miracles happen along the way? Tell us about those.
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind is during summer camp. We were at summer camp, and so it's for a lot of youth and kids that come to camp. And we served there for 6 weeks during the summer. And just loving kids and serving on the campground and whatever they need. We're just running around. And we were in a service and there's an altar call for healing. And the pastor just said, anyone that feels like they need healing. I just paused. Okay. Yeah, so we were in a service at summer camp, and the pastor did an altar call for healing, and he said, anyone that needs healing in their body, physically, mentally, come up, and we're going to have someone pray for you. And so the altar was full of kids that needed healing. And I was just standing back, and I was kind of like, Lord, do you want me to go pray for someone? And he showed me a girl. Her name was Addison, and he said, go pray for her. He said, I want to heal her. And I was like, okay. And so I went up to her and I was like, hi. I was so nervous. I had never done this before.
How you doing?
Hey, I think God just told me to come pray for you.
Huh?
It makes you so nervous because you're like, do I know what to pray? Do I have the right words? But it's like, oh, it's not about any of that.
Yeah, right.
And so I went up to her and I was so nervous. It took me fighting with God for a hot minute to go up to her and pray for her. But I eventually went and I asked her name and I asked her what was going on. And she told me that both of her knees were in a lot of pain and she needed surgery in both of them. And it was a really expensive surgery. And so she's just dealing with the pain until she can afford to get the surgery. And I was like, okay, well, I think that God wants to heal you. And so we came together, me and her youth leader, and we just laid hands on her knees and we started to pray. And we would start to pray and just ask God to come and bring healing. And then we would stop and we would be like, okay, Addison, like, what's your pain scale on a scale of 1 to 10? And every time we would ask her, it would go down by like 1 or 2. And so we did that a few times. And by the end of it, her pain scale was at maybe a 2 or 3.
Wow.
And so I had to go do a job or something. And so I was like, okay, Addison, you might not be fully healed now, but I feel like God's going to heal you. So I'm just going to keep praying for you. And so I tell her that and I run off, I go to my job. And then that day I started to beat myself up over it. I started to cry and I was like, Lord, why didn't you heal her fully? Like I prayed the prayer. I'm like, was it something that I said? Was I lacking faith? Was she lacking faith? I was just like, God, I don't understand why you had me go pray for her if you didn't fully heal her in that moment.
Right.
And he didn't give me an answer. It was just have faith, keep praying for her, kind of. And I was like, okay. So I kept praying for her. And the next day her leader came to me and we started talking and we were like, okay, she's like, have you ever done this? And I was like, no. Have you ever done this? She's
Yeah.
like, no. And she's like, okay, why didn't God heal her? And we're just talking and we're kind of like, man, what could we have done better?
Right.
And I was just at the end, we were just like, okay, we're gonna just keep praying for her. God's gonna heal her.
Right.
And so I go to my next job and I'm just that whole morning I'm praying for Addison in my head as I think about her. And she comes and she walks into the room that I'm in and she's like, hey, I've been looking for you all morning. She's like, I wanted to tell you that God healed my knees overnight. She was like, I woke up completely pain-free. And she's like, I don't think I'm gonna need the surgery. And I was like, what in the world?
That's awesome.
It was, I mean, it took me beating
Yeah.
myself up and
Yeah.
realizing
Right.
it's nothing that I say, it's nothing that I do. God asked me to pray for her and I prayed for her.
Yeah. You were
And that's up
obedient,
to him.
right? You were
Yeah.
obedient. Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And there were other miracles that God did, of course, like financial miracles. And anytime I had a need, God would come through for me
Really?
financially or just bring me exactly what I need. And recently, actually, my car, like it gave out on me on the side of the road on the highway. And I was like, Jesus, I was just praying for my car. And I was like, God, I don't know how I'm gonna afford this, how I'm gonna afford to tow my car, how I'm gonna afford to fix it. And on my way home, my brother came meet me and we were following the tow truck on the way home. And on the way home, someone sent me a Venmo and it was the exact amount of money that I needed for my car. And they didn't know anything was going on. They just felt God tell them to send me money. And so
That's awesome.
just things like that over the course of a year just keep happening. And it's like, man.
That's so awesome because, again, and just to kind of, elaborate on her going into Compassion Corps, she's traveling constantly, she's doing ministry constantly. So it's not like she has a full-time job, full-time income while she's doing this. So when things happen, it's faith, it's prayer, it's all these things, knowing that God is going to provide. So I can imagine what kind of stress that involves or that can, lead to. But, again, we tend to think that we have a lot of faith, right? But that faith can get tested really quick.
Yeah, it does every day.
Yeah.
But whenever you're under people, I mean, I can't talk highly enough on the faith that Pastor Anthony walks in. And like just the way that he disciples us to have that kind of faith of like, if you are called to ministry, God will provide for you. If you're in the will of God, He's going to provide everything you need.
Yeah.
And so just seeing his perspective, it makes me like, oh, I'm going to have that faith. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to stress because God called me to this and he's going to provide for me. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So speaking of testing of faith, while you were traveling, did you ever encounter any valleys, any time maybe you had questions or doubt or maybe lack of faith? What were some of those times and how did you get through those or how did you overcome them?
Yeah. I've definitely had a lot of valleys and low moments. Ministry is weird sometimes. It's like everything that you knew before is just, it's still there and everyone that you knew is still there. But people that aren't called to ministry don't understand the call. And so it does feel lonely sometimes, which it's great being around so many interns and pastors that feel the same call. But whenever you look at people back at home, like your family even, or your friends that you were close with before you like left for the ministry, it's like they don't understand the weight of the call. And some people don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. Some people don't understand why you can't just go and get a job and I think that's really hard sometimes. And so it does feel lonely. Ministry feels lonely sometimes. But man, the only way I ever get out of it is just surrendering to Jesus and realizing like, Lord, you are the source of life, you're the sustainer of everything, you can get me out of this. You can come, you'll bring new people into my life. And I've also dealt with a lot of valleys of questioning the call and like, Lord, did you call me to do this? Did I hear you right? Did I make that up? And I feel like every time I ask myself that question, I'm like, okay, I know I heard from the Lord because I wouldn't just make something up. Like I wouldn't just tell myself to go and leave everything. But it's we're human, and so we all do it, I think. I
Sure,
think
we
we
do.
all question it.
We all do. Is it me? Is it God? Is it me? Is it God? Right? We all fight
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's a big thing that I've dealt with before, especially when things get hard or lonely or finances aren't coming in.
Yes.
You're like, did I hear you right? Am I in your will? And he always confirms. I always just go back to him and I'm like, Lord, I'm struggling with this. I like to journal a lot, and so I write it down. And to be able to go back and see like how God answers prayers, it's so cool. But the only way I ever get out of a valley is going back to Jesus. And I think in the I've gotten to the point at some points in my walk where I'll start to put ministry above Jesus, and I'll just forget. I'm like, oh, I'm doing the work of the ministry. I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the work. I look the part, but I'm not really spending as like I'll have moments where I'm not spending as much time with Jesus or in His Word as I should be,
Yes.
and he has to like bring me back. Like, okay, why are you putting this above me? Like, I'm the one that called you. I'm the sustainer. I'm the one that provides for you. And so it's like you can't go into ministry without Jesus. And so I don't know why I think everyone deals with
I'm
it.
glad you brought that up because actually, currently, that's actually what I deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking last night when we had our Fight Club men's group, and for me, time management
Yeah.
is tough. It's hard because the small ministry we have, then you couple that with obligations, family,
Yeah.
seminary, church,
Mm-hmm.
um, and all these things, podcasts, the videos I'm doing daily, and it all takes time, right? It all takes preparation. Some of it takes study time, and it's not like I'm consciously trying to put God second,
Right. Yeah.
but I find myself making schedules for this, scheduling that,
Mm-hmm.
penciling in this, taking time to go hurry up and fix that, deal with this person, help that
Yeah.
person. And the whole time I'm running, I might be doing it for God, but I'm not spending time with God,
Yeah.
right? I'm not in the Word. I'm not praying as much. And it's hard to manage that sometimes.
Yeah.
It really is. And my heart's right. I want to help. I want to do it for God. We want to pack heaven with souls. We want to,
Yeah.
preach the good news. We want to
Yeah.
help people. We want to love on people, and
Mm-hmm.
all these things. But in the process of that, I've struggled. I've really struggled the past couple of months to manage it all, where I'm still reading like I should and praying like I should, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Not because I'm so busy
Mm-hmm.
doing, doing
Yeah.
doing the stuff.
Yeah. I feel like God's really convicted me once I got back from CCI. I was like, I just sat with the Lord for a little bit, and I'm like, He's like, I need you to come. I felt like the Lord was like, I need you to come back to first love.
Yeah.
And He just reminded me, brought me back to where I was whenever I first got saved. And I was so on fire for the Lord. I was spending hours in my room with Him. And I would sit in my Bible and just highlight everything. I didn't even know what I was highlighting, but I was just so in love with Jesus that I was just like so fascinated by everything. And I felt like the Lord was like, I need you to go back to that before I can, you know, like in order to be sustained and not get burnt out in ministry, we have to stay with
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
And it is hard. It's hard to balance everything.
It is. And for me being excessive and type A personality,
Mhm.
one thing I struggle with is middle ground.
Yeah.
Because if I'm committed to something or
Hmm.
dedicated to something, I'm like to the extreme end of being committed and in, right? And so, if I'm committed to doing the podcast this week and I've got videos or whatever's going on, I'm all in, right? But the
Yeah.
problem is, like when I first got saved, I was all in for wanting to learn the Bible, wanting to learn God's word, spending time in His word, getting to know who He is, right? Just like a relationship, like when you first get together with someone, you want to learn about that person.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you fall in love with them and you want to be committed, you want to learn about what that person likes,
Right.
what that person doesn't like, you
Mhm.
know? And so it's the same thing with God. And so you do that by spending time.
Mhm.
And so spending time in God's word for me was the beginning of that relationship and that love and that bond. But then I find myself way down the road having knowledge, but no application,
Mhm.
right? I'm not applying the knowledge. Like God literally, slapped me in the face one day. He's like, look, boy, you need to
Yeah.
get it together. You have knowledge, yes, but how much of that are you really applying? And my
Mhm.
biggest thing was if he was going to use me in ministry, if he was going to use me for evangelism or preaching or any number of any type of position of leadership, I needed to be more empathetic for people.
Mhm.
He needed me to be more loving, not always fire and brimstone. And so that's something that he's had to work on me with. It wasn't, a lack of knowledge, but it was who am I, my character, to be more like Jesus and not always just fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Because I felt like at one time we have so much of this love message in this day and age
Mhm.
and so much of this watered down doctrine
Yeah.
that when we hear truth, it almost sounds foreign and it shouldn't be that way. So I'm like on the opposite end, again, being extreme. I'm like, well, if they're always going to hear love, I'm going to preach fire and brimstone.
Right.
Well, come on, dude. We need some balance here. Come
Yeah.
get with it, right? So I had to chill out. Obviously, God's worked on me for years now. And I finally feel like, yeah, he can use me now to speak and to preach and to evangelize and all these other things. And I'm finally getting doors open for him because I've been obedient. I've let him work on me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think it is important I mean, like we look in the New Testament, and most of the time, whenever Jesus was correcting, he was correcting the Pharisees,
Oh, yeah,
the people that knew the law. And I'm like,
absolutely.
I can walk the walk, I can be in ministry, I can know the law, but not really know my creator or be spending time with him like I should. I'm like, I never want to be a
Isn't that
Pharisee.
crazy?
It's
Like
crazy.
they knew the law, they
They
obviously
did.
knew the Bible, and they still, with all that knowledge, couldn't recognize Jesus standing right in front of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
I'm
That's
like,
something
man,
else.
Jesus, don't let me be a
No, no,
Pharisee.
no,
Yeah.
no, you definitely not.
Yeah. Well, I hope not,
No,
but
you're not.
yeah.
So I have to believe since you've taken this walk, you've
Mhm.
had to have grown in faith.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
had to have had some lessons learned along the way. Tell me maybe, as we close this off, what's
Mhm.
that been like? You got to feel
Man.
stronger in some things, right?
Yeah, it's like whenever you're walking so closely in it though, you don't realize you're growing until you like take a step back or come back to what you knew before and you're like, wait, yeah. Or whenever you talk with people that you used to be on the same page with and now it's like,
Oh, yeah.
wait, no, I don't really agree with that.
Well,
It's awesome. I mean, I I'm like the main thing that I feel like I've learned is how to live by faith and just how to trust God. And right now I think God's teaching me how to balance him
mhm.
with ministry and put him above the call of being a missionary and to never let myself identify with being a missionary or a prophet or a pastor or whatever God calls me to do. I don't ever want to identify with that. I want to just be obedient to God.
Yeah,
I want
that's
to
the
be a
key.
daughter. And so it's really been awesome. I definitely know that I've grown, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to put words to it. Sometimes I can't
I can
comprehend
tell
it.
you, I can tell in just our conversations
Yeah.
since you've gotten back, and even along the way when you've popped up back from being on different trips and come home for a
Hmm.
few, I can definitely tell that you've grown, just from the conversations we have, the things you talk about,
Yeah.
and even saying something like, before you left, you had these common denominators with friends, being spiritual. But then all of a sudden you start to grow and you come back home and you're able to recognize
Hmm.
like, oh, wait, no,
It's
this
a
is
little
not the
off.
same. Yeah,
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 no.
because you've grown and you've gotten so much closer to God. You're able to discern those things that
Yeah.
maybe you weren't able to see as much before. And
Mhm.
again, that's just a sign of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
mean,
awesome.
yeah.
So what's next? Let's close this up. But what do you feel is maybe next for you in the future? Do you plan on maybe wanting to stick to missions? You want to evangelize?
Mhm.
You're maybe not too sure yet. What is that
Yeah.
like for you?
I definitely still feel the call to missions.
Okay.
I feel like God has put me on this earth to reach people that have not heard about him, or even those that have heard about him but forgot who he is, or maybe lost track of who he is in the midst of religion and all the things that the church, preaches that aren't right. And so I still feel that call to missions, and as far as where that is, I don't know. I'm like, Lord, that's one thing that I'm struggling with right now, because I'm like, God, I know that I still have these 10 months in this internship, but what's
And that's
after
what you have
that?
left.
Yes, I
Pastor,
still have
10
10
months left.
months.
Okay, 10
So
months
I'll
left.
finish in November, and I'm like, God, what are we doing after? And I keep trying to, like, okay, maybe we can go to the Amazon for a few months, and then we can go to Philadelphia, and then we can. And the Lord's like, Abigail, what are you doing? Why are you making plans for me? Like,
Yeah.
I'm the one that called you. And so I definitely know that I'm gonna stick to missions and stick to helping people and serving people. As far as what it'll look like, I don't know. I'm trying to be okay. Like, God, if you just call me back home for a few months, I'm okay with that. Or if you call me to go back to New Orleans, I'm okay with that. Where I want to know that I'm in His will,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Amen.
And so
Amen.
I know that I'm called to missions and ministry, and I don't know what the next steps are. So
I think it's awesome. I really do. Like, for you to have taken this step, and it makes me even reflect and look back, even on my own life.
Mhm.
You know, I definitely wasn't serving the Lord like I should have been at a much younger age, and I wish, we all kind of wish we could go back and do some things differently. But I think it's amazing to see that you've taken full advantage of this opportunity where you're still so young, you're
Mhm.
serving the Lord wholeheartedly and serving, and you're spreading the gospel. You're doing exactly
Mhm.
what we're told to do. And you're being able to see not only the state, but this country and other countries while doing it.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. And yes, you'll have tests, and yes, you'll have valleys, but God's going to get you through.
Mhm.
And look at all the wins and the miracles and the things
Yeah.
that you've been able to experience through that. That is
Mhm.
really awesome.
Yeah, I was reflecting on that a few nights ago. I was just scrolling through my camera roll because I think I was losing sight of what God is not
Yeah.
what He's called me to do, but just the thankful aspect of it, of like, thank you for carrying me through this, Lord. And so I was just going back on pictures. I'm like, you allowed me to see all of this stuff and travel to all these places and serve all these people. And I'm just like, oh, God, you're so good. Like,
Oh, I
Lord,
was so
I'm
jealous
not worthy of
when
this.
when you saw the aurora, the
Oh,
borealis.
yeah.
I was like, oh, look at her.
That
Oh my goodness.
that was a
That
highlight for
was awesome,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I could imagine.
Oh, I'm so
So
pretty.
we had a couple of days down here, and of course we're in South Louisiana, mind
Yeah.
you. So they were like, "Oh, y'all gonna be able to see the aurora borealis just a little bit," and we're outside. Like, nope, nope.
Oh, I was looking. I was
There's the
looking
Big
too.
Dipper,
It was
and then
not.
I see pictures of you out there. It's green, purple, red, and I'm like, "Oh, lucky."
Yeah. No, it was awesome.
That's
So
awesome. And being able to do that while serving God, I just,
yeah.
it really is, and I know it's hard. Like, you can become somewhat get complacent because
Yeah.
you're getting used to doing what you're
Hmm.
doing, but taking in, live in the moment,
Yeah.
because again, you still have your whole life, and you still have so much ahead,
Hmm.
and already being where you are for God, and you're at your age, and what you're doing for the Lord is nothing short of amazing. It really is awesome
Yeah.
to see that for you. We're happy for you.
Thank you.
We love you.
I love y'all. Yeah, it's been awesome. So
Yeah. Well, listen, y'all, we thank y'all so much again for tuning in to Connected
mhm.
Through Christ. Thank y'all for supporting us. Um, We're going to have some more. We got podcasts rolling in literally every week now. I'm
Mhm.
trying to schedule everything. I actually had to take a little bit of time off of seminary to time manage because I'm struggling with it. But we're getting a lot of things done.
That's weird.
Um, we got men groups going on over here. So much going on. So listen, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your support. We thank you for your prayers as we continue connecting through Christ. God bless and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Connecting Through Christ. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Stay blessed and keep growing in Christ. See you next time.